it's Natasha and thank you so much for joining me today. In today's video, I really wanted to use some vellum to kind of create a delicate, subtle look on my background, and I want to adhere it down, which can sometimes be a little bit tricky because of the fact that the adhesive can show through. So there is one way that I generally solve this, and depending on what kind of design I'm doing and things, I'm going to show you what I do today. So I am going to use the Lawn Fawn Vellum. This is the one that I most often use. It is relatively heavyweight. It is able to be heat embossed. I'm able to do embossing, dry embossing on it and things. So that is my favorite go-to vellum that I always use. And I'm going to use some Stick It double-sided adhesive. Now this is a double-sided adhesive sheets which are very, very thin. And that is key when I want to be die cutting my vellum. So I'm going to use one whole sheet here and pop it on the back. I actually don't end up using this whole sheet of vellum, and I just put it back into my little vellum thing there, and that way I can very easily see that it already has the Stick It adhesive on the back. But I don't want to waste any of it, so I make sure I pop it back in. These are the dies that I'm going to be using today. These are from Altenew Crafts, and I actually have a coupon code for you as well down, and I will pop that in the description box below the video, so that if you choose to buy these little hexagons, that you can get a nice little discount. And I am going to run these through my die cutting machine, and then I have these gorgeous little hexagons, very detailed and very delicate, ready to go. Now I am going to move on to creating my background here. This is a piece of the Holtz watercolor paper, which is most definitely my favorite watercolor paper that I use. In fact, it's the only one that I use. Then just a little trick, if you want to keep your piece of paper flat, you spray a little bit of water on the back of your piece of watercolor paper. Then I'm going to be adding some Pixie powders. These ones happen to be from Shimmer, but there are lots and lots of different kind of these kind of powders out there. And I am going to add some Lava Red and Midnight Blue. Now these, you can either add the water first and then the powder, or you can add the powder first and then the water. Whichever way you kind of find you have the most control. And obviously these powders are activated by the water, so when it hits them like this, you see all of that brilliant pigment come through, and these have the most gorgeous amount of shine to them. But I'm going to put those aside and let them dry. Then I'm going to quickly move on here. This is the Heartfelt sentiments. This is a stamp set by Altenew, and this has a whole lot of different sentiments for all different occasions. This is one of those stamp sets which is really a go-to because it pretty much covers everything. And I really do like stamp sets to be versatile like this. Not too often do I pick up one that only has one type of sentiment in it. I did purchase a birthday one recently, but that was only because birthdays are one of the most common cards I make. So a stamp set like this that has lots and lots of variation is going to be top on my list to keep in my little tiny craft space. So I stamped these in some VersaFine Onyx black ink, which is just a nice crisp black stamping ink. Then here are the finished, nice dried little pieces that I created, and I mean you can kind of see the shimmer, but these are gorgeous and very shimmery in real life. So I just did a few different designs. I mixed up some of the colors, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do color wise. I knew I wanted it to be predominantly blue, so those are the ones that I chose, just because I felt like the vellum is going to be mediumly subtle in the background, so I didn't want too much going on. Now here I'm just placing these out, and the fun thing about these little hexagons is that I am able to pop one in the middle. So this one I'm actually going to just peel off the release paper, and then I just pop these down gently. I kind of give them a light little push to keep them in place, but I am not going to press them down really, really hard and make them permanent until I have everything all round in place. But as I said, because they have the nice even 6 sides, I'm able to kind of make a really nice pattern, and the one in the middle is just going to be simply a placeholder. So that's how this Stick It double-sided adhesive works. You can kind of pop it down, and it's kind of almost temporary. You can shift it around a little bit, but once you press down hard and have everything kind of sealed, it's there permanent. It's down for good. So that's why I'm making the most of this adhesive, and I am able to kind of pop it down in place. And that middle one there, as I said, is just a placeholder. I am actually going to end up cutting this card down because I want to make it fit an envelope that I have hanging around. It's one of those envelopes, it's this kind of gorgeous bluey color, but it doesn't fit any of my regular standard cards and I didn't want to waste it, so I am going to create this card. And this card is honestly a funny custom size. I don't even remember what the measurements were, but as I said, you could leave it completely the size that it is or cut it down to be whatever you wish. So I am cutting off a little bit of those little hexagons there, but I'm going to kind of keep the majority of them. And you can see that once they are pressed down nicely onto that background, the vellum is just a really nice subtle look. But I am going to do a little something in just a minute to kind of bring those out just a little bit more. So when I'm using vellum, I often cover the entire back of it. That's my little trick. I cover the entire back of whatever it is that I'm trying to adhere down. And that way you aren't able to see any of where the adhesive ends or starts behind the vellum. So I have used this trick in lots and lots of videos. Sometimes I talk about it, sometimes I just do it, either, but today is where I just cover the whole back of these hexagons and then you can't see where any of the adhesive is. Now I have adhered this down to a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card base. As I said, I was going to always trim it down, so I'll just keep that little bit of scrap there because it's great for stamping sentiments on. And then I do want to kind of do a little bit to this card because even though this is gorgeous, it is a little bit plain at the moment. And one of my little go-to tricks after I pop the sentiment up here in the middle, and it's popped up on some foam tape just for a tiny little bit of dimension to this card, I am going to bring out the design of those little hexagons using these happen to be color pops, but Nouveau drops or anything like that is going to work well. These are in the white color and they're going to stay nice and white. And I just try and choose different points on each one to kind of bring them out. They almost look like snowflakes a little bit, which is fine because over here we are in the depths of winter. But I hear everyone else talking of sunshine and I am excited for when that finally comes our way. But anyway, this is my card for today. Very simple to create and you can do this with any of the die cuts that you have in your stash as well. That gorgeous shimmery background using the Pixie powders and how to hide the adhesive behind our vellum. Thank you so much for joining me today and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks, bye!